Welcome back to Dirty 20, everybody. Today, we're going to be talking music at your D&D table. Whether it's horror or high fantasy, music can really set the tone of adventure and tension for an evening of D&D. I feel that music has such an important role to play at the table, but I say that with a couple of reservations. But I, for one, like to, for example, find a theme for the campaign that I'm running, and then I play it while we are recapping the previous session. I also like to encourage my players to find a track that they connect with for their character and send it to me so that whenever they're doing something really, really epic, I play their theme, and it's honestly made for some really, really memorable moments. And those moments really were supported by the music, and that's one of my key things about music. It is the support at the tabletop for your storytelling. I've had a lot of trial and error with music, and so I'm just going to give you a little bit of advice that I would have really appreciated when I first started incorporating music into my sessions. It is possible that you feel a little bit overwhelmed by having to keep track of what tracks are being played, what playlist, have you got to have multiple windows of your player open. It can be distracting, and especially in combat where you have to deal with a lot of different things. As a games master, you may want to consider handing the responsibility of being the DJ to one of your players. This takes off a lot of the pressure and means that, when it's not their turn, that player can make sure that, the tone of the music hasn't shifted, or that, a song isn't in a kind of moment that doesn't really match with what's going on in the story. I would also say don't be afraid to pick songs and tracks that don't immediately match, like a classical piece is kind of immediately where you go to, but for one of my campaign themes, I actually chose a remix of a Western theme. It was a hip-hop remix, and it worked really, really well for the recaps. It was super memorable, and we all kind of started to think about what the opening credits to our TV show that we were doing would look like. Super important, make sure you are careful with volume. I tend to play things a little bit too loud, and sometimes players can't hear what I'm saying, so just be aware, or, at a certain moment, just check with your players, is the volume okay, because it's easy to lose yourself in, you want more of the music. Just on a tech point as well, I'd also really recommend having the files locally on your device rather than streaming them. There's nothing that can kill a session quite like tech issues, as most of you who have played online know. It can really kind of drag on and break immersion, so probably best to have the files stored locally on your computer or your phone or whatever. However, bottom line is that music is secondary. It's support, right? So if it's just not working, if you're having tech issues, if you feel overwhelmed by having to run the session and also focus on the music, then just park it. Don't even worry about it. The game has been played for decades without, support music, and lots of people play without support music. It's just a really, really nice addition, but bottom line is, if it's not working, don't use it. There are some interesting resources out there for implementing music, and I'm going to give you some of the best ones that I've found and some of the ones that I have used or have heard of that I think might be worth trying. Sirenscape is a dedicated app or a web page which is designed to deliver music and effects for your tabletop. And the interface looks very beautiful. It seems to have a lot of functions. However, I have yet to pay for a monthly subscription. Because I'm not sure if it's worth it for me. And I think that in order to get the most out of it, you really do need to pay the monthly subscription. But have you tried it out? I'd love to hear from you in the comments and, whether it's worth it or not. Tabletop Audio is a wicked website. They have innumerable tracks which are ambient plus music, sometimes just ambient, sometimes just music. And they are free to download on your laptop. I think that they are among the best that I've come across. They're about 10 minutes in length, which is a nice length. It means it's not going to get repetitive, and you don't have to worry about changing the track or what's going to happen. You just put it on a loop, and you'll play it for like twice max. I would say 20 minutes, right? They also have a Patreon, which I will link in the description below. Definitely worth checking them out if you feel that you need consistent ambient music and lots of different genres. Spotify has lots of playlists, but there is really nothing that breaks immersion like those ads breaking into, the pirate theme that you're trying to play. And to be quite honest, again, unless you're paying for it or you have a subscription, probably not that great. YouTube, similar to Spotify, lots of content that you can play. But again, the ads can be really immersion breaking. And also, because YouTube, you have to be playing the video. If you're going off battery, then, you're not going to be able to play for as long as you would otherwise, for example with Spotify, and also it means that you have to stay on that app if you're using your phone, which means you're not going to be able to do anything else, whether it's look up spells or a rule or something like that. So again, like Spotify, YouTube is probably not the best solution. Now, film scores play a similar role in films as we're trying to get music to do at our tables. It is supposed to support the story, maybe make you feel a certain way at a certain point. And the perfect example of this is, combat music, right? You say roll for initiative, you put on some combat music which has a higher tempo, and immediately your players will sit forward, they'll be thinking about what they need to do in their turn, they'll be thinking tactically on the map, all of those things. So definitely OSTs, whether it's Gladiator or Braveheart or anything with kind of big epic battles, should fit quite well, and I think is the right kind of background to what you're actually dealing with, which is the story. The only danger is that if something is hyper recognizable, then it could kind of break you out of the combat that you're in when you're like thinking, oh, that's from that movie. So in that case, maybe finding something that's a little bit more obscure can be helpful. In that situation, video game OSTs can be really useful because often they're a little bit less recognizable. Now, having said that, one of the most epic things that ever happened to me with regards to music and D&D was my players had sailed to Athkatla, the capital of Arm, which is in the Forgotten Realms. And like some of you probably know, Athkatla was or Arm was the setting for Baldur's Gate 2. And there is one particular section with a market in the city, and there's this very memorable music playing. Now, my players walked into the market, I started playing the music, and I suddenly saw the recognition on one of my players' faces and just his utter joy at realizing what it was. And later on, he told me that it just catapulted him back to his childhood, and it was, again, a really memorable moment, but kind of subtle, right? It wasn't for everybody, it was just for those people who recognized it, and it's like a little nod to that. Also, with video game OSTs, you have longer tracks often, whether it's the one for The Witcher or Elder Scrolls, which are often quite popular ones for these playlists on Spotify and YouTube. They have a little bit more length to them, and so it's that thing of, I don't have to worry about changing the track every 3 minutes or putting on enough tracks that it cycles through. So again, 10 minutes is a really nice length for a track for your tabletop games. It is worth mentioning that Roll20, the online platform for the virtual tabletop, where you can play lots of different RPGs on, has a way to share music on it. But my very limited experience hasn't been great with it. It's tended to have been one track that's on a loop, and often gets forgotten about and just keeps playing like the whole session, even though it was the exploration section or whatever. I'm really intrigued to find out what solutions people have found for music online, because Discord I've found also to be not great. I guess not easy to use. As I mentioned, Roll20, not fantastic. I know Sirenscape has the potential to be a good way to do that, but it also feels like you have to pay for the subscription. And again, I'm trying not to spend that much money, because otherwise it's subscription after subscription after subscription, right? Thus far, I think my best solution has been when I've played on Zoom and I've shared a screen with sound, and you can have people, either whether it's look at art and listen to music, or look at a map and listen to music. Also Messenger, you can share your screen, but that's been a little bit more unstable for me. But as I say, I'm really interested to hear how you guys have solved these issues, and I'll try them out and report back. Thank you so much for listening and watching today to our video on music at your tables. Again, I'm super intrigued to hear from you. How do you play music? Do you find it really necessary to your game, or is it fine to not have it? And particularly online, what solutions have you found there? As always, guys, like and subscribe, and keep slaying. If you've enjoyed this content, then please smash that like button, subscribe, share this around online, and come and visit our website, www.lavictoriaproductions.com, to see all our past episodes, as well as our blog posts and all the stuff that we're currently working on at La Victoria Productions. Why not reach out to us and tell us what you think of our videos? You can reach us on Twitter. @MouthLaVictoria is our producer. We are also on Instagram. I am EnanoLVP, and our producer is Jazzy J. Shiro.